Oh, that was really funny. Anyone want to talk about that spinning? That I'm not crazy. That was weird, right?
What have we here?
Maybe that's why no one wanted to talk about what they found, because they got forced to do the spinning mini game. They were just sick and dizzy and embarrassed that they had to spin around doing this. Woo! Woo! They're just like, what'd you find? What'd you find? Mm-mm.
It is not unlike a Hunnish alchemical furnace in design.
Well, there is one way we might find out.
Opening it. This feels like a bit of a Pandora's box.
Stop! You mustn't touch it.
Washahan?
Vritra! Oh, my apologies. Should I continue calling you Varshan?
You may address me as you wish. My nature is no longer a secret. Still, this is not a setting I imagined for our union. Surely you've not entered these ruins as common looters.
Would that we could deny your accusations, but I fear you're not far from the truth.
Great Vritra, might we beseech thee to explain the nature of this strange contrivance?
It was crafted by our alchemists at my behest, for the purpose of sealing something away.
Huh.
Perhaps I should simply show you.
Are you gonna open it? What are we gonna see? I'm kind of scared. A rift? Y'shtola!
I have lifted the seal, if only for the moment, by an authority only I possess.
A planar fissure?
No, my friend. Small though it may be, this is a functioning gate into the void.
What the fuck? Void gates and fissures are much the same thing in practice, in the sense that both allow passage between the source and the 13th. Difference in terminology refers to the circumstances of their creation. A fissure is an incidental tear in the fabric between worlds. Void gates are a product of deliberate action. I suspect this is the latter, judging by the elaborate mechanism put in place to control it. That swirling emptiness, it puts me in mind of old friends, not to mention old foes. Let's talk to Urianger. Even in the learned halls of Charlian, 'tis forbidden to throw wide the gates to the abyss. Cause is far too great. I came here in search of something that might further my research. I did not anticipate a fully functioning void gate. Can such a tiny portal truly be so dangerous? Oh, Asinian. The Y'shtolas are praising the void gate with a scholarly eye. This is an interesting development. It does put a little bit of context into what we were seeing at the beginning.
I am deathly curious to know how a void gate came to be hidden in the depths of these ruins.
To tell that tale, we must first peer far to the south, and even further into memory. An age 5 millennia passed when the Algan Empire sent an invading force to the shores of Merasidia.
Huh.
The southern people rallied around the commanding figures of Bahamut and Tiamat and fought
Wait, I remember where this goes.
the would-be conquerors. With Bahamut's defeat, however, the tide turned against them. Desperate to seize any advantage, the Mercidians resorted to summoning primal entities. In response, Emperor Zande forged a covenant with the Cloud of Darkness, sovereign among the all-devouring denizens of the Void. Thus bolstered by icons on one side and Void Scent on the other, the two armies clashed in a battle of unspeakable carnage. So much death, so much loss.
I consider myself well versed in that period of history, yet you speak as one who witnessed it happen.
Because he did.
Indeed, I did. I heard Tiamat's roar of defiance and sped toward that war-torn land. Along with my sibling, Ashdaya. We dragons are not male or female as men are wont to classify, but elder sister is the closest a mortal tongue can come to describing what she meant to me. I was the last of our brood to hatch, and Ashdaya cared for me where my sire could not. Thus I was with her when Tiamat roared. I was with her when she journeyed south, and I was with her when she fought against the Void-sent hordes. Yet no matter how many of their vile fiends we cast down, more rose from the abyss to take their place. Faced with an unwinnable war of attrition, Ashdaya risked her all on a final gamble. She plunged through the Void Gate itself to strike at the root of their strength. I tried to follow in her wake, determined to lend what aid I could. But even as I came upon Alag's glittering tower, I saw...
The rift closed behind her.
And Ashdaya has been lost to us ever since.
I find I must retract my earlier claim of historical knowledge. Nowhere in the Crystal Tower's archives did I see...
Because they didn't care.
...noble sacrifice.
That does not surprise me. To Alagan eyes, it must have seemed as if a lone dragon, driven to madness, simply dove through the gate and did not return. For my part, I spent long years searching for the means to reunite with Ashdaya.
And that's what this portal's about.
I could search no more, until Alag was dust, and the art to open a void gate large enough to accommodate a dragon forever lost.
Yet you have the beginnings of a gate right here, under the control of a harnessed device.
My discovery came before Radzat was founded. Though I scoured the lands for a method to cross the rift, it was beneath the sea that I chanced to find a natural planar fissure.
And it became a refined fissure.
It was, however, far too narrow to admit a worm's bulk. Only after our city rose upon the rock, and I could enlist the aid of our talented alchemists, did matters take a favorable turn. Their dedication was beyond reproach. Tirelessly, they worked to expand the fissure, and after decades of toil, it finally grew to a size that a child might pass through.
Not long ago, you told us that you called out to your kin, that Ashdaya's answer was silence. I suspect the conclusion to your tale was not a joyful one.
With hope in my heart, I used the simulacrum to cross the threshold. But no, I did not find her. What I found was a host of void scent, clamoring around the opening they had sensed. 'Twas but a moment, but enough. I had no choice but to retreat and allow the portal to contract once more.
The gate was a threat to your people. You had to decide between endangering Razathan and abandoning your sister. And you chose the latter.
'Twas not that thy siblings scorned thy call. 'Twas that she was trapped beyond a barrier through which neither roar nor dragon may pass. Even now, in the desolate world of the 13th.
I can scarce imagine your pain, yet it was wise not to linger in that place. Too long a sojourn, and even a being of your power risks being warped into a creature of the void. You've seen this phenomenon before, when we stepped into the darkness.
It's true. I do remember when Nero had a weird purple texture. It was kind of pixely.
Turned purple? Well, yes. His wounds had allowed the void's corruption to enter his body and twist his ether. Had it been allowed to progress much longer, I presume he would have been fully transformed.
Then there is little hope for Ashdaya.
Ah, no. I hadn't meant to. I speak only of possibilities. The scales of the first brood are extraordinarily resistant to ethereal fluctuations. They are the protective talisman's core components after all, and even the corruption I described would struggle to overcome. Of course. With the warding scale in one's possession, one could conceivably survive a stay in the 13th without being warped by its energies.
Hey!
Be that as it may, it is too late to rescue my sister. 5,000 years too late. And now countless others look to me for guidance and protection.
Some shit's about to happen right now, dude.
Sensed intruders in the ruins. I came only to ensure that the gate remained closed. That, and to secure the treasure, of course. I wish only to forget the rest.
I'm like, your show is frustrated, dude. Also, I'm impressed that portal managed to close without a single thing happening. Millennia have passed since I last saw her, but I see Ashdaya in memory still clear and vivid. What chaos must consume the 13th? Richo's grief for a lost sibling will be no mystery to Athenian. He hath been a life entwined with sorrow, even before he became a host in Nidhogg's essence. I wondered how one of the first brood could simply vanish, leave no trace for passage. Now I have my answer. They managed to not only expand the fissure, but manipulate it as one might a gate. Astonishing. Is there any chance I can learn more of how this feat was accomplished? Tell you what I can. First, however, I must return to the High Crucible and arrange to replace the guardians you so handily destroyed. It will not do to leave the gate undefended. My apologies. We were perhaps a touch zealous in our rush to uncover the vault secrets. If the constructs can be repaired, we will be happy to offer our assistance. Much as I retain spare vessels for myself, we keep duplicate guardians on hand for such eventualities. In any case, we should return to Razathan. Don't worry, you can come here literally hourly and there will be new stuff for you to see and do. Okay, so we gotta get back. If I hit this gate, will it send us to the docks? Yeah, it will. Can't stop yawning. It's really hard. Duty support. Ooh. Cool.
Let's give it our all.
Very well.
Leave this to me.
That new interface looks so good. Anyway. I'm like, is that woman not wearing pants? She's not wearing pants. Anyway. That was sick. Damn, I can't believe that One Piece was a fissure to the void. This is the part where we find out that Isaiah is actually Joy Boy. Some mystery we're waiting for this whole time. I promise we will discuss the void gates further. I must attend to the matter of the vault sentinels. As your instruments have no doubt informed you that the Kapikulu has been reduced to so much scrap, please bring new ones out of storage. See that it is conveyed to its post along with a few lesser constructs. Was it tomb robbers? Fiends born of the Tower of Zot? Mother sisters, do not tell me blasphemy is yet roam free. We're in trouble. Why such guilty faces? Surely it isn't you who are responsible for this. Well, the details aren't important. I shall see it done immediately. With that, the vault will soon be secure once more. I believe you had questions. Let's begin with the gate itself. It is still functional, yes. Which is why I saw it sealed away with an alchemically forged lock. Ordered it with magics. Such power must not fall into the wrong hands. In truth, the primary reason for the vault's construction was to keep the gate hidden from the outside world. So much effort for such a little door. That little door you speak of leads to an abyss teeming with unspeakable horrors. That said, in its current state, it would only admit only the lowliest of void scent. From this side, no man would be able to pass through. No man? I should think Alphino would fit. Well, give it a firm push. Physical size is only one consideration. The true restriction hinges upon the etheric density of the soul in transit. And yet you succeeded in expanding its diminutive portal, sending your simulacrum to the 13th. Thanks to my brilliant alchemists. I should have destroyed the anomaly when I found it, but instead I bade them devise a means to control it. After much experimentation, they accomplished the impossible. A method was conceived by which my magic could manipulate the fissure and transform it into a serviceable gate. The process has long since been forgotten. Once I had given up on searching for Astia, there's no need to preserve such esoteric and dangerous knowledge. Thus the gate has lain dormant for years uncounted. Our own passage to the 13th was made relatively simple thanks to the Crystal Tower. An ancient mechanism channeled the tower's vast stores of energy to open a void gate. One bound to a covenant made with the cloud of darkness. Once that sovereign entity was beaten back, however, the covenant was broken, doorway severed from its connection to the void. Theoretically, it should be possible to reconnect the gate by forging a new pact with another void scent. But such deals usually end in betrayal and death. In any case, we should attempt to gain an understanding of the bounty gate. Mayhap you could resume your search for your sister. As I have already explained, I put those futile hopes to rest centuries ago. My place and my duty is here now. Ah, I meant to ask, what prompted you to search for the vault in the first place? To see if the legends were true. As you've seen, the fabulous wealth from the stories is quite real, if not its rumored origins, but I'm afraid I must assert a prior claim. I've been adding to that trove for years, little by little. Time has come to spend it, that I might alleviate my people's suffering. Though we are of one mind, we had no intention of taking it for ourselves. Isn't that right, my friend? Speak for yourself. Michelle's like, I want to get rich, bitch. Would you object if I were to conduct a close examination of the gate? I will make no attempt to open it, of course. I owe you and yours a debt that can never be repaid. Whatever boon you ask of me, you shall have it. You are most gracious. I should take full advantage of your permission. Would that I could join thee in thy study, but the Loppers will be anxious to receive my report. I beg you my leave. Or is that I bid you? No, I beg you my leave. I must be off to Charlian as well. Come back to the annex as soon as you're able. Farewell for now. Splitting up again, huh? We can discuss my findings once I return. You'll not be rid of me so easily. Alright. Having a good time over here. You may now undertake the Chronicles of New Era quest, Myths of the Realm. Speak with the fresh-faced students of Baldessian Annex to accept the first quest. Excellent! The difficult part in all this will be deciding how we best put these riches to use. Will you lend me your assistance in these deliberations? Anything to make up for the contracts we broke. Then think of your employment as a recompense. Serve me as a guest advisors. Now consider the broken contracts paid in full. Rhett and I are in this together. I will follow her example. Thank you, Estinian. You're very helpful. Oh, I love Estinian. Meanwhile... Zand. Is that a Golbez? Or is that Jack Garland? What the fuck? I sensed the breaching of a gate. It was not instigated from the side, it was opened from the other. Throne of Fire. I too felt it. A rare occurrence, yes. Such a tiny portal is beneath our notice. There are more pressing matters at hand. An opportunity is upon us. The coming of which we have awaited for nigh on 10,000 years. We dare not let it slip our grasp. Throne of Fire, Throne of Earth. Well, we must not underestimate she who bested the Cloud of Darkness. Even restrained by a covenant, the cloud was no feeble wisp to be dispersed by some flesh and blood mortal. Bah! Let her come! I will drown the world and watch this fleshling gasp for breath in her final moments. The Knight in Black, your zeal is admirable, but forget not our cause. Think back on our struggles beneath the sunless sky. Remember why we cede not our will to fight. Time we set war in motion and win redemption for our star. Who are you? They're fucking around, dude. They know what they're doing. Oh! Me when I see a cool looking knight in armor. What the fuck? Shall we begin? If we are to spend the treasure wisely, then we must first determine which groups would benefit most from monetary assistance. Some of my citizens may find it intimidating to speak with the satrap directly. I would ask you act in my stead. Visit Akiali and Yelimad. Speak with Matsya and his people. Listen to their grievances. Rosinian, I bid you do the same at Palaka Stand. I will be conducting my own inquiries. Gigatskull's grounds. Once you believe you have ascertained the needs of the populace, we can reconvene at Megaduta. So glad to see you have returned unharmed. Finish with the boat then. Yeah, finished that like a while ago, man. Anything the village desperately needs. I suppose Khazal's loss hit us the hardest. We're trying to find buyers for my fish. Although I sell a few here and there, it's so much difficult than it was before. Everyone's still struggling to rebuild their lives. For now, we're just banding together as best we can. Greetings and welcome, traveler. If this is your first visit to Thavnir, you must try my special Arma Lassi. What could such a wonder cost, you wonder? Normally, I'd part with these bottles for a generous price of 19,800 gil. I'm willing to go as low as even 10,000. You'd be practically stealing from me. I'm not a Stenian. Who is this city? Ah, you're the one who was with that spear-touting fellow. You can hardly blame a man for trying. World may no longer be on fire, but we're still sifting through ashes, so to speak. Just to spare me, we might as well have that ugly tower back for the scant few travelers we see these days. I myself barely have the coin to buy at local prices, I tell you. If I didn't charge the odd adventurer a small fortune for afternoon tea, I'd be scavenging for scraps in the street. Damn. Yeah, I get the feeling that everyone is suffering. Except I don't have to sell people fish. Offers the ports. It's in shambles, isn't it? Trade routes are open once more now that the danger is past, certainly. No small number of merchants have had to sell their ships to make ends meet in the short term. Add to that the sailors we lost in the final days. Little wonder the flow of exports is no more than a pitiful trickle. If Khalzan and his consortium were still with us, I'm sure he'd have found a way to turn the fortunes around. Now that was a man who got things done. God's rest his soul. My advisor's return. I've just made it back myself. Why do you retain this vessel now that your true form is known? You could have flown across the island in a fraction of the time. Be that as it may, the sight of a massive creature descending from the sky can be startling, to say the least. There are a few places I can enter comfortably without risking flattening some cart or stall. Huh, fair enough. As for my inquiries, the people of Palaka Stand were unanimous in their reply. They are surviving. Resources were stretched to the limit when refugees were pouring in. They persevered with some assistance from Yelimad. From what I understand, they have always been an independent community, hunters and foragers and the like, and I was assured that the jungle provides for their needs, for the most part. Palaka's stand has weathered the disaster better than most, it seems. I myself heard good news and bad. Quarrymen were cautiously optimistic, having just sold a full wagon of giant skulls to a foreign trader. Such visitors are few and far between. Compared to our best years, the weight of the stone leaving Thavnir has been light indeed. Our nation is small and isolated, prosperity dependent on a steady stream of exports. We must identify any obstacle to the flow of trade so that we may begin working to remove them. Tell me, what did you learn about Akiali and Yelimad? They rely solely on export over there. I see. Without a dedicated buyer, the average fisherman must struggle to offload his daily catch. Which is why I believe we should first address the lack of ships, shortage of able-bodied sailors in Yelimad. I am reminded of a child I spied as I made my way back to the palace. His father lost at sea when the beast sunk their vessel. So many variations of the same tragic tale repeated over and over, so many lives lost. Enough grief to drown in if we let ourselves be overcome. We will not. Ret Isinin, I will consider the perspectives you've brought me and devise a plan to help my people confront this adversity. Come, I would like you to be in attendance when I announce the proposal of my assembled functionaries. Is there going to be one big cutscene at the end here? There's a cutscene I'm going to autoplay. Oh.
I thank you for your attendance.
Real quick.
The riches the Radiant Host have retrieved were hoarded in Al-Zadar's name. A fortune I set aside for a future day of need.
Can't raise the volume of the game right now.
And lo, that day hath come. May it aid our wounded city in reclaiming its vibrancy and vigor. In better times, I would leave such a task to our capable Ahawan. God's rest his soul. Finding myself bereft of his counsel in the here and now, I will assume the responsibilities of mine office directly. Firstly, the treasure shall be sold for more convenient currency. Thence, invested into the trading port of Yedlamad. Our merchants must have their operations restored, their ships rebuilt. Commerce must flow once more. None were spared the tragedy of the final days. Of this I am well aware. But an absence was created by the loss of Karazar's consortium. And by filling it, we provide new means for our fishermen, our artisans, and others to bring their wares to distant markets.
And what of the children who were left without family to care for them?
That is a concern which weigheth heavily upon my mind. A simple gift of coin will soon be exhausted, leaving these young souls...
Yeah, you can't just give them a handout. They have to be a part of the system now.
Nay, a proper solution is needed, one which doth guarantee their welfare for years to come. Thou hast surely seen how other nations rise to meet this challenge, adventurer.
Wait a minute.
What dost thou deem the wisest course?
Am I about to be like build a sweatshop? The orphanage of Idleshire. My experience as Loey Alipo's apprentice.
We can draw on trading profits to build a new institution.
Which is a damn side quest.
Let us put this idea into practice. A contract shall be written, requiring all who receive of Al-Zadal's treasure to commit a portion of their future earnings towards the running of an orphanage. Now, such an influential policy is deserving of a worthy name.
Why not honor one of your most successful merchants?
A successful merchant? I believe I see thy reasoning. Kalzal should be remembered, not as the blasphemy which terrorized Daphne, but as a hard-working and generous man who brought much wealth to our shores. Do any among you object to this proposition? Many here lost loved ones to the beasts.
In that time of strife, any one of us could have broken. Any one of us may have been taken by despair. When I think of Kalzal, I feel no hatred. Only a stinging regret that we could not save him as well.
Feels
Isn't that right?
absolutely terrible. It's sad because I actually kind of like Kalzal,
This bodes well for that boy.
even though he was a minor character.
Rod was it? Perhaps he can cut ties with that shady peddler.
Then let it be done. Henceforth, this initiative shall be known as the Kalzal Foundation. Nabdeen, thou art to assemble a patrol and ensure that no child in this city liveth in squalor. Clerks, see to the management of our funds and make haste. Our citizens must not suffer a day more than is necessary.
Dragon and man, side by side in pursuit of a brighter morrow. Reminded of Ishgard.
Alright. Alright. Thank you for putting forth Kalzal's name. Those whose lives he enriched will take comfort in seeing his legacy honored. You will forgive me for not speaking sooner, but I bear a message from Archon Y'shtola. She asked you to meet her at the High Crucible at your earliest convenience. Understood. Thank you. Y'shtola must have finished a study of the Void Gate. Shall we hear what she has to say then? I shall go with you. Yeah, Pastor Han will join us for this shit, huh? satrap would be too busy setting up the foundation. My clerks have been the well-oiled cogs of this administration since before Ahuan assumed the office. They understood what needs to be done. And I am curious to learn what conclusions your Archon has reached concerning the gate's unique construction. Allowed me to lead the way, Your Excellency. I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared that we're about to get hit with a twist. With the twisty. McTwisty 720.
Right, here we all are.
Yeah.
You discovered something new.
I took a closer look at that device. I was able to determine how it keeps the Void Gate sealed, but not how it might instead be employed to expand the opening. For that, I would need to reference the technique developed by Vritra's alchemists, no records of which appear to have survived the intervening years.
We know this, so why have you sent for us? Have you learned aught of value or not?
Patience, good sir. One must introduce the subject before launching into specifics.
Yes.
From what we understand, travel between worlds is accomplished by passing through the nebulous rift which exists between them.
Okay.
Picture, if you will, the moment you were called to the first.
A voice, a call, and then a device.
Focus of some kind to help the Exarch pinpoint your location. His summoning spell then channeled the energies of the Crystal Tower to begin your journey to his world. The magics tore a hole in the wall separating source and shard, and cast you into the intervening nothingness. In that place, the laws of nature hold no sway.
Yeah.
Yet even through this realm of temporal and spatial instability, you were borne safely to your destination in the first. The feat that guided you across such an unimaginable distance, both physical and metaphorical, was nothing short of a miracle.
Then what of the many void sent found in the source? Who guides them here, and how?
That's what I want to know.
An excellent question.
They're an active threat, so who does this? And how?
Though there are several methods by which the Void's denizens might intrude upon our world, the rituals of summoning are the most typical.
The rituals of summoning are most typical.
For example, let us consider the Gargoyle, a creature of middling power.
Okay. This is an explainer. Wow! Hey, I remember this place.
To call upon such an entity, the prospective summoner must force open a void gate. The portal lasts but a moment and is relatively small, allowing only an imp or other lesser being to squeeze through with their physical body intact. Our more powerful gargoyle, however, is too large for that. Creating a gate big enough for him would require vast amounts of energy, far beyond the reserves of any one mortal practitioner. Instead, 'tis far more common to bring over only the entity's soul, We had a taste of that ourselves when a certain exarch dragged us to the first.
Yeah, okay. That sounds about right.
And just as our bodies remained in our world, the Void Sense physical form is left behind in the 13th.
But what would this do? Oh, and there's a simulacrum on this side for them.
Once at its destination, the summoned soul is granted a temporary shell to inhabit. In the gargoyle's case, a stone effigy has proven a suitable vessel.
Wait. You said that Voidsent must be called here deliberately by someone in the source, reeled in like a fisherman with his catch.
Exactly. For a being to navigate the chaos of the
It's a
rift,
very specific process.
there must needs be a guiding agent on the other side.
When the hordes poured forth from Alag's Great Gate, it was the technologists who drew them through. Though to my knowledge, planar fissures are in essence natural passages between our world and the void, which require no such guidance to traverse. Why is only the boundary between the source and the 13th so fragile? So much so that it often tears open of its own accord.
I believe solving that mystery is key to understanding travel between the source and its reflections.
And how do you intend to get...
So we're closer than we think to the answers.
No, the danger is too great.
She wants to go to the 13th.
Perhaps, but what some call danger, others think of as adventure.
Oh boy.
Were you not listening to my tale? Never mind that the means to expand the gate has been lost to the ages. Even could you force the portal wide enough, you would be greeted by an army of murderous horrors the very instant you step through.
I assure you I was most attentive, and I agree that to go alone would be certain death. But if I were to bring along one who has already braved the 13th and humbled the cloud of darkness, well, I imagine my chances would be much improved.
So much for taking it easy. This sounds like a decade-spanning adventure.
Since when were you one for the quiet life?
Huh.
Once again, I put my life in your ever-reliable hands.
Huh?
That said, as much as I would like to march straight back to the Void Gate, there is the small matter of being unable to open it without the Satrap's personal authority.
Yeah.
As I've said before, I will grant you and yours any boon you choose to name, provided it does not endanger my people.
You have my word that we will take every precaution. Not a single Voidsent will be allowed to threaten Radzatan, assuming we manage to expand the portal in the first place.
Which we probably shouldn't actually do.
You have a plan.
Actually, I had hoped you might help us with that. I presume the alchemists you retained supplied you with some explanation of their methodology.
That they did. House Daimir was overseeing the project.
Daimir. Ah, yes. The family associated with the great work.
did not fully comprehend the theory, but their research began with a void scent which had slipped through the fissure. After a thorough examination, they created an arcane simulacrum possessed of similar qualities.
A man-made void scent?
If you will.
What does that mean?
It was apparently indispensable in their efforts to enlarge the gate.
A man-made void scent.
Yeah, why would you do that and why would you need that? That's weird.
Yes. Being great admirers of the Archons, House Daemir submitted detailed notes to Charlene's official committee. They expected praise and accolades for their simulacrum, and were thus devastated to be informed that their work had been classified as prohibited material.
If that's true, then those notes might still be stored in a forbidden archive somewhere. Not Google, of course, since that library had yet to be built. Which leaves us with...
the Forbidden Tomes of Charlene. Graha's favorite place to sneak around, baby!
Indeed. Numenon's restricted stacks may very well hold a copy.
It's very cat-like of him to go where he's not wanted. And to keep going there.
I say we head directly to Charlene.
Unless you anticipate needing help to reach the high shelves. Simply of little use. Go on ahead. I still need to find Mirad and tell him about the Kalzal Foundation.
Let us be on our way as well.
He's not happy. I don't think.
They are resolved to venture into the void. Do I sit idly by?
Certainly was an interesting bit. If we're to enter the Numenon's restricted archives with minimal fuss, we must secure permission of the Forum. First, however, we shall need to enlist the cooperation of a member of the Broach to broach the matter on our behalf, who would be inclined to assist us. What of Skullark Montagane? He did come to Grahatia's defense during the inquiry, after all. To settle, let us head to Phenomenon. See if he's willing to help us once more. I'm gonna guess hell no. I don't know. I feel like we're about to find out that he's awfully touchy on this one. If I had to guess a plot twist. We're gonna go up to him and be like, ah, you'll help us? No, you shouldn't be fucking around with this. I was the one that said no. Anyway, what's up, Montagane? Quite esteemed ones. Ah, visitors, and quite esteemed ones at that. What may I do for you? Pray forgive the intrusion, Skylark. Skylark? But we were hoping you might help us secure permission to enter Numenon's restricted archives. No footative foray into the stacks this time, eh? I applaud this newfound sense of propriety, yet in all this wide world of comparative serenity, what so compels you to disturb the vault of forbidden wisdom? Fascinating. I had no idea such a technique existed. I would have been surprised if you had. My assumption is correct. The research left behind by House Daemir has lain dormant in Charlene's archives for many centuries. If you honor this research, what's then? Surely you don't intend to cross over to the void. That is, in fact, precisely what we intend. To what end, pray tell? Develop a method of traversing the rift for one, that I might keep my word to a distant friend. Sentiment aside, I have journeyed to the end of existence. I have heard, felt, and thought endlessly about the truth of our world and the echo of its future. I want to understand everything, to unravel it all down to its last secret. What scholar worthy of the name wouldn't force open a void getter to, if a grand revelation was the promised reward? Ha ha ha, marvelous. Hey, he agreed. Audacious proposal worthy of Master Motoya herself. After hearing the whys and wherefores, I, for one, do not believe you would use the knowledge for ill. I see no reason to not present your request to the forum's consideration. So we have to wait for the forum's consideration. Your petition would be better received if you also had the support of another well-placed acquaintance. Yes? Master Forchanal, of course. He can hardly ignore an earnest request from his dear children's most treasured comrades. I was hesitant to approach him directly, but there is no denying that having Master Forchanal on our side would tip the balance in our favor. Very well, we'll pay a visit to Levior estate, plead our case. One last thing before you go. I would consider it a personal favor if you might share with me the discoveries you made in the void. My appetite for knowledge is every bit as insatiable as yours. I'd wager, so... As yours, I'd wager. So if you could see your way to indulging an old man's curiosity? Of course, Scarlock. We will be sure to pass on any revelations. Ret, Y'shtola, how may I be of service? We've come to speak with Master Forchanal. Is he home by any chance? The master is in residence. I shall inform him that he has guests. Well, Emilians would invite you inside for tea, but I assume this is not a social visit. Maybe a matter of import to discuss. Pray proceed, you have my full attention. So we talked of the void, and he's the one that's gonna say no. I suppose I should praise you for following the proper protocols this time around. Scarlock Montagne expressed much the same sentiment. I assure you, will not attempt to circumvent the form's authority again. Unless it is absolutely necessary, of course. Of course. You do understand that the restricted archives are restricted for a good reason, yes? If no pressing need exists, then why risk the consequences of employing this forbidden knowledge? For a brother who misses his sister, she was his guardian and his friend, a selfless hero who crossed a rift between worlds to save her homeland from horror and suffering. The brother has given up on thoughts of reunion. He spends his efforts elsewhere, watching over a people yet healing from the flames of the final days, loyal to his duty while betraying the longing in his heart. 'Tis no vital mission, perhaps. 'Tis no vital mission, perhaps, reuniting these siblings, but it feels a worthy cause to pursue, all the same. As for one who feared losing his own loved ones and spent years researching to prevent it, surely you appreciate how painful such a separation must be. Reflections are still very much a mystery to us. Offering to share your experience in the first should constitute fair exchange for our cooperation. Do not celebrate just yet. The forum must still be convinced. I will add your request to the list of today's deliberations and deliver the decision to you at the Baldessian Annex. Alright. All that's left is to still accompany Y'shtola